I know you said you don't like to give advice, but what advice would you give to a young person? You've lived an incredible life from very humble beginnings, difficult childhood, and you're one of the most successful people in the world. So what advice? I mean, a lot of people look to you for inspiration. Kids in high school or early college, they're not doing good, or are trying to figure out basically what to do when they have complete doubt in themselves. What advice would you give them?
It is really important that if somebody that you respect, and I'm going to, just for the purpose of this, put myself in that bucket. And if you're listening to this, I wish somebody had told this to me. We are all equal. And you will fight this demon inside you that says you are less than a lot of other people for reasons that will be hard to see until you're much, much older. And so you have to find either a set of people far, far away, like what I did, or one or two people really, really close to you, or maybe it's both, that will remind you in key moments of your life that that is true. Otherwise, you will give in to that beast. And it's not the end of the world, and you'll recover from it. I've made a lot of mistakes, but it requires a lot of energy. And sometimes it's just easier to just stop and give up. So I think that if you're starting out in the world, if you've been lucky to have a wonderful life and you had wonderful parents, man, you should go and give them a huge hug, because they did you such a service that most folks don't do to most kids, unfortunately. And it's not the fault of these parents, but it's just tough. Life is tough. So give them a kiss, and then figure out a way where you can just do work that validates you and where you feel like you're developing some kind of mastery. Who cares what anybody else thinks about it? Just do it because it feels good. Do it because you like to get good at something. But if you're not one of those lucky people, you can believe in your friends, or you can just believe in me. I'm telling you, preserve optionality. How you do that is by regulating your reactions to things. And your reactions are going to be largely guided in moments where you think that you are not the same as everybody else, and specifically that you are less than those people, and you're not. So just save this part of this podcast and just play it on a loop if you need to. But that is my biggest learning, is I am equal. I'm the same as all these other people. And you can imagine what that means to me to go out in the world, to see people and think, okay, I'm the same as this person. I'm as good as them. And you could imagine what you're probably thinking of what I'm thinking is not that thing, right? You're probably thinking, man, this guy, I'm so much better. No, I am fighting this thing all the time.
Well, I've also met a bunch of folks who I think is a counter reaction to that. Once they become successful, they start developing a philosophy that they are better, or even some people are better than others, which I understand. You know, there's LeBron James versus other people and so on. But I always really resisted that thought, because I feel like it's a slippery slope. They're not better.
They have mastery in a thing that they've fallen in love with.
Yeah.
I'm trying to develop mastery in a thing that I love. You know, I love the art. I love investing. It's like solving puzzles. And I love that. I love trying to develop mastery in poker. I really love that. I'm learning how to be a parent to a teenager because I finally have one. It's all new stuff to me, and I'm learning. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, so you don't want to think you're lesser than, and you don't want to think you're better than, because those both lead you astray.
I've never thought I was better than. I manifested better than because I was trying to compensate for feeling less than. My goal is just to feel like everybody else feels, on the presumption that everybody had like a normal life.
Given your nickname is the dictator, do you trust yourself with power? Like if the world gave you absolute power for a month?
No. No, because I think that, I'm still riddled with bias. I don't deserve that position. I don't, and I would not want that weight on my shoulders. I had a spot actually where it was a very important and big poker game. And it was a spot where I was in the pot, and it was a really large pot. It was like $1 million pot. And I had to make a ruling, and the ruling was in my favor. And I was just beside myself. Because I don't play, I play for the challenge. I like to get pushed to the limit of my capabilities. I want to see, can I think at the same level of these folks? You know, because these guys are all experts, they're all pros. And I get enormous joy from that challenge. And I like to win, but I like to win just a small amount. You know what I mean? And then I never wanted to win in that way. But because it was, you know, my game, I had to make this call on $1 million pot, and I wanted to just shoot myself. I just was like, this is gross and disgusting. And he was a complete gentleman, which made it even worse. I was like, oh God. So I do not want absolute power.
Well, those are the people you do want to have power, is the ones that don't want it, which is a weird system to have, because then you, in that kind of system, don't get the leaders that you should have, because the ones that want power aren't the ones that should have power. Totally. It's a weird system. Totally. What do you think? Let me sneak this question in there. What do you think is the meaning of life?
I don't. Well,
why are we here? You ever look up at the stars and think about like the big why question?
I think that it's a chance to just enjoy the ride. I don't think it really, like, I don't believe in this idea of legacy that much. I think it's a real trap.
So do you think you'll be forgotten by history?
I hope so. I really, really hope so. Because if you think about it, there are 2 or 3 people that are remembered for positive things, and everybody else, it's all negative things. And the likelihood that you'll be remembered for a positive thing is harder and harder and harder. And so the surface area of being remembered is negative. And then the second, what will it matter? I'll be gone. I really just want to like have fun, do my thing, learn, get better. But I want to reward myself by feeling like, wow, that was awesome. Like I've told this story many times, and I have put, again, my own narrative fallacy on top of this. But, you know, Steve Jobs' sister wrote this, you know, obit in the New York Times when he died. And she ends it by saying his last words were, oh, wow, oh, wow, oh, wow. That seems like an awesome way to die. You're surrounded by your friends and family. Not the fact that he died, obviously. But in a moment where what I read into it was your family was there. Maybe you thought about all the cool shit that you were able to do. And then, you know, you just started the simulation all over again. And so,
yeah,
just on the off chance that that's true, I don't want to take this thing too seriously. You know what I mean? Just enjoy it.
So you're not afraid of it? The end?
No. Could end tomorrow. Could end right now.
So every day you can go and you're happy. You're happy with the things you've done.
Yeah. You know, there are obviously things I want to do that I haven't done. But there are no gaping things. I've really, really, really been in love. Total gift. There have been moments where I've really, really felt like everybody else. There have been moments where I have deep, deep, deep joy and connection with my children. There are moments where I've had incredible giggling fun with my friends. There's moments where I've been able to enjoy really incredible experiences, wine, food, all that stuff. Great. I mean, what more do you want? Like, I could keep asking for more, but I would just be a really crappy human being at some point. You know what I mean? It's enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's enough. Yeah. It's enough.
This life is pretty beautiful if you allow yourself to see it. Yeah.
It's really great. And it's better than it's ever been. Yeah. For most of us, actually.
Yeah. It's pretty nice.
You know, and all of the, like, you know, millennials and Gen Zs, you're about to get a boatload of money from your parents. And you better figure out how to be happy before you get that money.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you will be miserable.
Get a lot of Dairy Queen. No, that only worked the first time.
It worked 2 times in grade 5 and grade 6. My God, that next year, Lex, I worked my ass off. I'm like, but I could never bring myself to ask her.
Yeah.
And then she did it. And I was like, man, this woman's a Miss Bruni. This woman's a gem.
Yeah. But the third time it faded. Isn't that the sad thing about life? The finiteness of it, the scarcity of it. Without that, we perhaps wouldn't, ice cream wouldn't be so damn delicious. Chamath, you're an incredible human. I definitely recommend that people listen to you on all platforms. Just, we're very lucky to be able to get your wisdom. I agree with, I've talked a lot about you with Andre Karpathy, who's somebody I really respect. And he just loves the shit out of you in how much how deeply you understand the world. It's a huge honor.
He's an incredible human being. So that's
on a different, speaking of semicolons, there's some human beings that understand everything at the very low level and at the very high level. And those people are also very rare. So it's a huge honor, and also a huge honor that you would be so kind to me, just like in subtle ways offline, that you would make me feel like I'm worthwhile.
Well, can I just say something as just a layman listener? What you do, just so I could give you my version, is that you take things and people, so ideas and people that are mostly behind a rope, and you demystify it. And what that does for all of us is it makes me feel like I can be a part of that. And that's a really inspiring thing, because you're not giving advice, you're not telling us how to solve the problem, but you're allowing it to be understood in a way that's really accessible. And then you're intellectually curious in ways that, some of us would never expect that we were. And then you kind of end up in this rabbit hole. And then you have the courage to go and talk to people that are really all over the map. Like, for example, when I saw your Jordan Peterson example, like you went there, like you talked about Nazism, and I was just like, man, this is a complicated argument these guys are going to tackle. And it's really, really impressive. So I have an enormous amount of respect for what you do. I think it's very hard to do what you do so consistently. And so I look at you as somebody I respect, because it just shows like somebody who's immersed in something and who's very special. So thank you for including me in this.
I'm going to play that clip to myself privately over and over, just when I feel low and self-critical about myself. Chamath, thank you so much, brother.
Thanks.
This is incredible.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for listening to this conversation with Chamath Palihapitiya. And now, let me leave you with some words from Jonathan Swift. A wise person should have money in their head, but not in their heart. Thank you for listening, and hope to see you next time.